Test. All right. I think my sound is working now. I heard myself. So anyway, as I was saying, Scott here at Beatty's Beat just coming on live for, as Mo Salah's on a breakaway and he gets tussled with the defender, and I don't think any penalty is forthcoming. I think there probably should have been. Kind of was a little bit of 50-50, but the goalkeeper was able to mop up at just the right time as Salah got kind of dragged down in the box. But no matter, if you're a Liverpool fan, we're 3 goals, 2 goals to the good, 3 goals to 1. Darwin has been the man of the match. Part of the reason I want to come live. Oh, and here comes Southampton and a big save by Alisson, keeping the 2-goal lead. That's good. Liverpool haven't had many comfortable victories this year outside of Bournemouth 9-0, so we shall take it. But I'm going to try and keep it to the point today. And first off, just kind of rave about Darwin Nunez. He's been fantastic. Also, got to give a little shout out to Mo Salah, rediscovering some form from, let's say, 2021. 2022 has not been his finest hour, but he is, I think, 9 goals in 9 games last I checked. And so you love to see that. Mo Salah smiling and putting the ball in the back of the net. Darwin Nunez also just being a complete live wire and powder keg, as Liverpool Lee loves to call him. I was just texting with him today and saying, wait a minute, just checking, who's your favorite player from this Liverpool team? Is it Harvey Elliott or is it Darwin Nunez? My suspicions are that Darwin has just edged him, and he said, yes, you're correct. And I said, okay, fine. In this fantasy draft, I'm happy to take Harvey Elliott as my favorite current Liverpool player. Both of them just so exciting. Now, Liverpool definitely need to work on being a great team, because I think currently we just have a lot of great parts, and we all know how Liverpool's season has gone. But this is the last game before the World Cup break, so that's another main reason why I wanted to come on here and kind of share my thoughts. A lot of the World Cup squads have been announced, and there have been a lot of surprising selections and omissions. Right off the top of my head, Thiago is the biggest one being left out for the Spain squad. Now, Spain always have a lot of talented players, talented midfielders. I think Luis Enrique is really trying to make a statement with his selection. So I'm just pulling up, forgive me, the national team of Spain heading into this World Cup. And let's see, sorry. So yeah, I just cannot understand omitting Thiago. I get that he is injury prone, and he's even had some injury battles this season. But I just don't understand. The midfielders in the Spain squad are Busquets, Gavi, Carlos Soler, Marcos Llorente, Pedri, and Koke. Yeah, sure. I mean, I'm not even saying that Thiago is should be a nailed on starter. I understand if you wanted to make a selection out of starting some other players, and I'm not watching La Liga very much, to be honest. So maybe these players are so fabulous, but I mean, Thiago is 30 years old. He's playing for Liverpool. You know my thoughts on Thiago at Liverpool. I'm not even the hugest Thiago fan. I think at times he's not even a great fit for Liverpool. Other times he is. But I just cannot fathom leaving him off the squad. I mean, he's also not a troublemaker in any way. I just really don't understand that omission. I think at the very least he can bring experience. I personally would start him within this team, but maybe, just different roles within the team, Enrique feels that he's got it covered. But I mean, you've got Gavi and Pedri that I don't think either of them are even 20 years old. Now that doesn't disqualify them, but again, you're making a big call by just choosing kids and just kind of discarding a player like Thiago. Now David De Gea was also another big omission, as well as Sergio Ramos. People are making headlines about that. I don't think there's really even a story there. Ramos, I don't even think has played since he's left Real Madrid. And to be honest with you, off the top of my head, let me just Google it now, but I don't even... Is he still a PSG player? He is, yeah. I don't even know how many appearances has he made for PSG. 24? Okay. Whatever. I don't really care about Sergio Ramos. He's one of my least favorite players ever, so I'm moving right along. David De Gea left off as well. Again, as a Liverpool fan, I can laugh at that. Man United, any sort of struggles that De Gea ever has. But again, I think coming from a neutral perspective, I think it is kind of wild to just leave him off the list entirely. I think... Now, I'm not here to say if I were a national team manager, I would be... a conservative selection type of guy, a la Southgate. I think Southgate is super, super safe. And don't worry, I will get to the English national team selection. But I think most national team managers would have selected De Gea just for his, his experience and sort of what Sergio Ramos would bring. That experience and leadership. That said, I guess you can't really be mad at Luis Enrique for making a bold call and saying, you know what, if I'm not going to play you, I'm not just going to bring you just to be a passenger and really a distraction. I think that's, if you're making that call with De Gea, I think it is to say that, okay, I don't even know who he's going to start. Whether it's Unai Simon or David Raya, but maybe just don't bring... David De Gea, just so the newspapers can write like, oh, this guy made a mistake, and do they start De Gea the next game? That would happen. So anyway, as I'm speaking, if anyone is watching along with me, hello, let me know your name and drop me a comment. Let me know any World Cup squad omissions and shocks that you may have. Always glad to hear from any of you, and I'll give you, a shout out and let everybody know that you're also watching along. So don't be a stranger. As always, thanks for tuning in. But to continue, I'm just really surprised by the Thiago omission, and I think it kind of brings up a point of what is going to be the trend in this World Cup. Tactically, are we going to see anything kind of different? Obviously the 4-3-3 has been around quite a long time. I think national teams, I think it'll be interesting. I think you have the potential for some tactical shakeups, because I think, obviously, as we all know, national teams can't really, you have who you have. And so I think sometimes you've got to play to strengths, because, obviously some national teams are deeper than others. And sometimes you just have sort of completely imbalanced teams, obviously, like Poland or South Korea come to mind, with Lewandowski and Son just being like complete superstars, and then no other teammates that are really even close in terms of that superstardom. So obviously, I think that's probably why Poland has struggled. Lewandowski's entire career is, everyone knows it's going to him. So I think for that reason, you may see maybe some teams playing more with like a 4-2-3-1, which isn't as fashionable at the club level. Maybe, sneaking a 10 in there, or Virgil van Dijk almost scoring against his former club, heads it just wide. Virgil's finishing Could be quite a bit sharper over the last couple of weeks, but that's okay. Um, and so, where was I going next? Yeah, I think just obviously I was referring to tactical trends that might be popping up for this World Cup. Not even going to make any sort of completely speculative um, theories or anything. Just um, uh, what's it called? So yeah, I don't have any ideas about that. I just kind of curious about what may pop up. The 4-4-2 might even kind of be coming back into style. Obviously, Liverpool kind of playing with that. But yeah, I mean, the weather is, as we know, Qatar is hot. So yeah, I mean, the highs for the next 10 days are 85 to 90 Fahrenheit. So it's going to be a very hot one, and so um, maybe that's why Thiago gets omitted, or players that are injury prone. Maybe this is going to be a young man's game. I mean, I think it kind of already is. I think to be really suited well for the modern game, you're seeing, we've seen this for 5 years or so now, but I think particularly if you were to ideally kind of have a fantasy draft, whether at club or national level, you would pick a bunch of 22-year-olds that can run all day long, super quick, super rapid, flying wing backs, pressing high. That is ideal. I mean, why would you not have that? So maybe, and particularly, it's going to be so hot, and maybe coaches are really thinking with that in mind, that these Premier League players that really haven't had a break for years and years, and as intense as the Premier League is, maybe some of those, when you have a 50-50 decision, maybe some of these national team managers are thinking about, who has miles on the clock, who's injury prone. So perhaps certain players lost out due to that. Now let's jump to the England squad. I have a number of opinions here. I also have a number of favorites and not so favorites. I think all of you know that I am not a Harry Kane fan by any means. I think that he is a bit of a dirtbag. I think he's a liar. I think he's a very selfish player in not a good way. I think he's a goal hound. Now, okay, yeah, sure, he's a striker, but my hatred for him really began, as I've described this before, but when he claimed that goal went in off of his shoulder. He was neck and neck in a Golden Boot race with Mo Salah. I believe that was his first season. And he said, I swear on my daughter's life that it hit my shoulder, because he had to keep pace with Mo Salah. And karma's a bitch. He got injured, and Mo Salah went on to win the Golden Boot that season. But I never forgot that about Harry Kane, and I just don't like him as a guy. I think England is obsessed with him as a national team level. I kind of understand why. I used to kind of really respect Kane and think that he's like the next kind of Alan Shearer, and who knows, how long he plays and stays healthy. Maybe he can break the Shearer record. But regardless, I think he is... he does possess a lot of talents, but I think he kind of tries to do too much. He can pass the ball. He can create for others. So that is good. I mean, it's almost a waste of space talking about him, because regardless of my opinion, he's going to play no matter what, because Southgate has made him captain and undroppable. And I just think that the England team has a lot of other talents that if they went the more modern route, a la, a much flightier, lightweight team, I think that they could do well. Great save by Alisson there, 76th minute. He is certainly in form for the World Cup, and we'll get to Brazil's squad as well. But yeah, England's team, of course, Pickford's going to play. I would not make that select, I would go with Pope or Ramsdale, honestly. Pickford does tend to play well for England, but again, Southgate just has his favorites. All right, so let me just, I won't do the thing where I read out the entire World Cup squad, but I'll hit on the talking points I want to mention. Luke Shaw, I know he played well in the Euros. He doesn't deserve to be in the England team. Harry Maguire's a joke. I get that he's going to be in the England team just because he's worth £80 million, allegedly. Eric Dyer in there. I don't know what the hell that is. I'm fine with Stones. I'm fine with Walker, Trippier. Ben White has been having a good season, so I'm good with that. England has talent. There's no doubt about that. It's just who you select, and it's always the same old story with England. There's talent, and then the coach picks the superstars because they're afraid of what the media will say if they don't win and they don't play these guys. So they decide to pick these pretty rigid starting lineups that everyone knows who they're going to pick, and it's not all that exciting, and other teams have pretty much figured them out. But anyway, Calvin Phillips has played for 1 minute this season. He is in the England team. He's a fine player. I know he's played in the England team before. He's played 1 minute this season. It is ridiculously disrespectful to players that didn't make it when a player has played 1 minute all season as in the England team. Listen, I don't care about England personally. Sometimes I root for them, sometimes I don't. They're in the same group as the United States, so I will not be rooting for them this year. As well as I feel like I can already feel what Southgate's going to do with them. I'm kind of sick of Southgate at this point, so that's my feeling on it. I am talking about this because, one, England is always relevant and fun to talk about, even if I'm pissed off by them. But mostly, I just want my Liverpool players to be happy and in the World Cup and thriving. Harvey Elliott should be in the England team. You can call me a Liverpool homer or whatever you want, but Harvey Elliott, if you're watching him, all Liverpool fans know how good this kid is going to be. I could say some crazy things that I maybe believe in, that like I think Harvey Elliott is better than Mason Mount or whatever. I'm not even going to do that. I'm just going to say Harvey Elliott should be in this England team. Calvin Phillips has played 1 minute and is in here. I think Harvey Elliott, even if he wouldn't have started, I think is certainly a player that could really be a trick up your sleeve off the bench and be really lively. He's super creative. He's super in form. And I'm not surprised that he's not in the England team, but I think he has every right to be there. Let's just rattle off the forwards. So you got Sterling, Kane, Rashford, Grealish, Saka, Foden, Callum Wilson, and James Maddison. I'm not sure about Grealish and Maddison being forwards, but whatever. I guess they play in the front three, so they're listed as such. Rashford, I don't know. What has he done in the last 2 seasons? Or really just this season even? I haven't heard his name. Foden is going to be fantastic. We already all know about Foden. I think Foden is arguably England's best player. Of course, I didn't speak too much about Jude Bellingham, who everyone knows Liverpool wants, and I think the Liverpool PR system is spitting out there that we're the front runners. God, I hope so, because Liverpool definitely do need a rebuild. But let's just enjoy watching Bellingham in this World Cup. I really am starting to get pretty excited. I mean, we are a week out, so you'd think I should be, being such a big football fan as I am. But to be honest, I really hadn't been. Even just a couple of weeks ago, I was kind of scratching my head thinking, like, we have a World Cup coming up. I think it's partly because of, it's just abnormal that it's during Thanksgiving and, it's always during the summer. But hey, every World Cup is different. Every World Cup has a feel. And I don't know what the World Cup theme song is, but, I better learn it and, just kind of getting the vibes towards the World Cup. And but anyway, I'm excited. I'm excited to see the storylines. I'm excited to see who, who's a breakout star, and which teams completely flop. I think France always is. France absolutely should be the bookies' favorite. I don't know if they are or not. I'm guessing they are. I think this just feels like a France. I don't know about flame out in the group stage, but maybe the round of 16. Like, I think they're gonna really underperform, really based on nothing. And also, I just don't like them. I didn't really have anything against them in 2018. Sure, people are gonna say give Deschamps credit for winning the World Cup. Yeah, sure, but I think my sort of disdain for them maybe started a little bit with them in process of beating Croatia. One, because Stevie Sukes, shout out, one of my best friends is Croatian, and his whole family has sort of adopted me as an honorary Croatian because I was right there pretty much for every single game watching. So that was definitely a special run for the Croatians last time around. But anyway, I just think that France, sort of as a neutral, could have been so much more ambitious and played so much more beautiful football with all the superstars that they have and had. Obviously, there's no Pogba this World Cup. I think that'll do them very well. And Griezmann is kind of fallen off the map a bit because Atletico, either he just is kind of getting old, or Atletico doesn't want to pay Barca an extra 40 million, so they just keep subbing him on. Very weird situation there. But regardless, enough said about France. I hope that Konate has a little bit of an injury scare as of today, or maybe they're just wrapping him in bubble wrap. But good for him that he's made the World Cup squad. Yeah, let me just, in the meantime, the Liverpool players that have made their national teams, it's a very surprisingly low number. It's 7 Liverpool players going to the World Cup, and they are, off to the top of my head, Alisson, Fabinho, Virgil van Dijk, Trent, Hendo, Darwin Nunez, and I'm missing one, Konate, who I said already. So that's the 7. Yeah, Robertson, Scotland didn't make the World Cup. Greece didn't make the World Cup for Simbricas. Egypt for Salah. Thiago left out of the Spain squad by choice. Gomez left out by choice. Good choice there. I am over on Joe Gomez. Sell him, get rid of him, cut him. I would honestly, this isn't even a joke. This is going to sound like, a meme-worthy joke. I'm not kidding. I would prefer to start Nat Phillips over Joe Gomez at this point. He just makes way too many mistakes. I'm done with it. I just cut ties, and hopefully Matip and Konate can actually stay healthy, because they're fabulous center backs in their own right. And yeah, who else is in this Liverpool team that should be going to the World Cup? I'm sure Kelleher would go for Ireland had they made it. As of last season, we had Mane. He is going with Senegal. Gini Wijnaldum broke his leg or something, so he is not going with Holland. Anyway, I don't need to do Liverpool alumni, but yeah, it's just, for how good of a team as Liverpool is, it's pretty surprising that it's just 7 players going to the World Cup from Liverpool. And yeah, I just feel quite so. So let me go into the Brazil situation. So obviously Fabinho's had a really poor season, no doubt about it. Obviously Alisson, best keeper in the world, has been and still is. He is going to the World Cup. I actually forgot to even think about whether he starts for Brazil over Ederson. I believe he does. But I forgot that that's even a scary. I just haven't thought about Ederson in a little while. But Allison has just been in supreme form, so I really, really hope that he is starting, and I think he deserves to start regardless of whatever form Ederson is in. And so yeah, Allison and Fabinho are going to the World Cup. I felt so bad for Bobby Firmino not getting called up for Brazil. He's 30 years old. It really, if you're being frank, is probably his last chance to be called up. And I think the fact that he hasn't, and I mean, it's really particularly sad just being a 30-year-old and playing for Liverpool and being passed over. That's just got to be really hard to take as it is, but especially ironic with Bobby possibly being our player of the season. I mean, he's gone through a renaissance. I don't have to tell any of you guys, he is our top scorer, at least in the Premier League, and he is just playing fantastic. And he's, kind of back to the old Bobby. The tricks and flicks are happening, and even today he got tackled. His body rolled across the ball. Most players would, roll around and, really make the referee call the foul. He just gets back right up and keeps playing. Virgil almost scores again. But yeah, so I'm really, really sad for Bobby. Just kind of imagining him home on his couch with his family, that he isn't able to just go and have the experience. Now, I'm not super surprised about Firmino not getting called up. Brazil do have a very good young generation of talent coming through, and let's see if I can name the 6 attackers off the top of my head. Neymar, Vinny Jr., Rodrigo, Richarlison, Antony, and Rafinha, former Leeds player. So, I mean, those are very good players. I know there have been some Liverpool fans defending Bobby, saying that he has scored more goals, I believe, than most of them, or maybe even all of them, this season. But listen, as I've already said, very sad for Bobby, but at the same time, I am not surprised, because he and Tite, the head coach of Brazil, have never really got along. I'm not even talking about off the field. I just mean on the field whenever Bobby has gotten his chance. And I don't know that they've ever really fully committed to him, to be honest, but any time that he has played for Brazil, it hasn't really worked. And that's not really surprising either, because Bobby is such a specific talent. He is so... everybody, he's a false 9, and his game is not primarily about scoring goals. It's about creating. It's about making space. And so I think Bobby can perform very well for Brazil. I think that you have to not entirely build the team around him, but you have to build the team with him in mind. It's not just hey, this is a system here, most of the players will fit into this, and maybe I'll plug Bobby in and he'll do fine too. I think that's what they've done with him, and it hasn't really worked. So unless you're going to play him in a 10 right behind, the front 2 or 3 or whatever you're playing with, or if you're going to play him as a false 9, I mean, you really have to build the system entirely around that as well, which obviously none of that is happening. So I just feel bad for Bobby just losing out on that experience. Ditto on Thiago, just really a damn shame. And yeah, I can't really wrap my head around the Thiago thing. I mean, he's worn the number 10 for Spain pretty recently, so I don't really know how or why that happened. But yeah, my theory, maybe in general, is just that you're going to need a lot of really fit players. There's going to be a lot of pressing, maybe a lot of substitutions. I don't really even know the rules, whether they're going to allow 5 subs. And so, yeah, all right, we're past the 90th minute mark. I guess I got to wrap my time up here in, well, not that I have to finish completely on time, but let me start going into some prediction. Let me see. Did I hit on all the teams that I wanted to? Yeah. Oh. Wild back pass by Southampton. Completely missing the keeper, but keeper's able to save the corner. So, yeah, maybe some just overall predictions. I'm going to be rooting for the United States. I have not watched the U.S. men's national team in probably, I don't know, whenever, I was going to say the last World Cup, which we weren't in. So yeah, I probably haven't watched the men's national team for maybe 5 years. I think that's just because we haven't, for whatever the reason, we haven't played in, really important competitions, and we've been pathetic for some of that time. I do think that MLS and, U.S. soccer, they don't necessarily go hand in hand, but I think they do for the time, at this current time, that I do think that the U.S. Soccer Federation is doing a lot of things right currently. On the field, does that mean we're ready? No, not at all. And I am not even qualified to talk about that as such. I think there's probably some pretty exciting young players, whether they're mature enough to kind of step up and perform at a World Cup. We'll see. We'll see how the team chemistry is as well. I know nothing about Greg Berhalter. So yeah, we'll see. I'm just excited to watch, kind of without any expectation, just kind of put some blind hope into watching the United States, a la like an Olympics or something like that, and hopefully Pulisic and Gio Reyna can perform well. They're two pretty exciting players. I think Tyler Adams is also quite a good player. And I don't know who plays in goal for us. I'm guessing maybe the Arsenal backup, Turner. But yeah, we'll see. I think the home jersey is a disgrace. The white thing with the mustache looking thing, as well as the central badge, I think is awful. I think the U.S. Soccer Federation should have rejected that design and said, give me something else. I think the away is fine. I also don't think it's great, but it's not deplorable the way the home jersey is as well. Speaking of deplorable, Pulisic's highlights that he was sporting in the promo pictures with the rollout of the kit. Oh, also speaking of awful is the Dutch home kit. Looks like something Hugh Hefner would wear in the 70s. It's like a yellowish orange, sheer, shiny kind of thing. So that looked awful. Of course, I wish luck to Virgil in the World Cup. And yeah, anyway, so I'm going to start to wrap things up. I hope to maybe jump on for some World Cup games. Again, this is not my full-time job, so hence why I haven't been too routine with my, my streams. But even if it's just a couple YouTube shorts, please make sure you subscribe to my channel and hit the bell to see when I post. I really appreciate it. Check out my YouTube shorts. I'm trying to make use of those because I think YouTube is promoting those, and also, it's just better consumption for the modern day. I've been sharing some of my post-game thoughts after Liverpool games, as well as I put up a City versus Fulham reaction, which I thought was pretty interesting. So yeah, I'll try to do some of that during the World Cup. I think that Uruguay has a very good chance to be sort of a surprise package. I think that Darwin, I hope that Darwin has a complete breakout coming out party during the World Cup. Um, there's no Erling Haaland, so he gets to be that huge, mobile, modern day striker. And he can put that on display. I think I was just scanning through their team, and they've got some really good players. They've got, some decent defenders. They've got Jimenez in the back. They've got Valverde from Real Madrid in the midfield. They've got a couple different players that you might recognize, as well as, their attack, with obviously Darwin, who I just hope that they build everything around. They'd be stupid not to. He's in his prime and is performing really well. And yeah, I think that Suarez and Cavani are not yet retired for the national team. I'm not quite sure on that, but those are two other options. I don't know how they'll set up. But anyway, I think they have a chance to play quite well. I believe they're in a group with Mexico, Saudi Arabia, and South Korea, maybe? So I think they should be able to get out of that group. Let me speak about Croatia for just a quick second. Stevie was telling me that I discovered today via a yellow card that Chaleta Char plays for Southampton now. Didn't know that. He is a young center back. In case you haven't heard of him, he used to play for Marseille, and West Ham was linked with him for a little while. And I think he's probably 23, 24 at this point. He's not that young, but he was omitted from the Croatia squad. I guess he just hasn't been, playing regularly enough. But yeah, you look at this Croatia squad, and there's a lot of those familiar sort of names. Obviously, they've lost some players to retirement from the 2018 historic run to the final. Mandzukic, obviously, and forgive me, I forget maybe a couple others, but you still got Perisic, Kramaric. Those are the names I recognize up top. I thought there was going to be more. And then you got Vlasic, Brozovic, Modric, Kovacic, Lovro Meyer. Probably not pronouncing that right, but I recognize that name. Pasalic, in case I didn't mention him. So pretty good midfielders. You got Vida in the back. Guardiol, very good 20-year-old center back. Could be a breakout year for him. You got Lovren. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they turn out. I'll definitely be rooting for Croatia as well. Imo Hrvatska, and yeah, I think that's Croatia in a group with Saudi Arabia, Morocco, and Canada. So forgive me, I said Uruguay. Anyway, you're not tuning in to hear me read out World Cup groups. I apologize for my mistake previously, but and then yeah, of course the group that everyone will be watching, which is England, United States, Wales, and Iran. So I don't know. I mean, it's just so much intrigue. Obviously, England, US being put together again. That'll definitely be a fun one. I believe that's the third game in the group. I think that is the Friday after Thanksgiving. So that is probably not a lucky coincidence. They probably put that there for sure. That's going to be a huge TV rating in the United States. Looking forward to that one. But yeah, I mean, that's a group that most people will probably guess, okay, yeah, England and the United States are probably the two favorites to get out of the group. But I just think that there's, especially with England, there's always a bit of a potential for a shock, if they just put in a stinker. But I feel like once you put England and the United States together, it throws everything up in the air. Obviously, in 2010, there was the U.S. and Algeria that ended up going through. And so, yeah, it's going to be It's going to be crazy, the World Cup. Really looking forward to it. Just maybe shout out one more group. I guess there is a group of death um, this year, and it is. No, maybe there really isn't. Um, but anyway, Senegal and Netherlands together. You're going to have Mane being marked by Virgil van Dijk, probably. So yeah. Anyway, Spain, Germany, Costa Rica, Japan is a pretty tasty group. So yeah, I think the favorites this year are probably, for me, I would say Brazil and Spain. I think will do well. Germany, I'm always tempted to say. I kind of smirk while I'm saying that because in the 2018 World Cup, I was hitting Germany hard. I just thought that during that time they were maturing perfectly. Obviously, they had won 2014. Really good generation of players. I think that generation is kind of let things slip, and that generation is almost sort of gone already. Like the Emre Can being a young guy there. Tony Cruz, I was very high on him at the time. So Germany is definitely switching over, and then you got like Timo Werner, who was sort of, he went from back then being like a young, promising forward to his career kind of flatlining. So anyway, it'll be interesting. Yeah, I don't think that there's any like huge dominant favorites. Of course, with the betters, they'll probably be France. I think Spain could also be up there as a favorite. Argentina, get out of here. I hope they flail out and don't make it past the group stage. I hate watching Argentina. They, especially 28, that was one of the worst soccer teams I've seen maybe in my lifetime. It was like beyond like kindergarten soccer. So imbalanced. Everyone just gave the ball to Messi. So I actively root against Argentina. I'm going to be rooting for the United States, Uruguay, and Croatia this year. And anyway, you'll hear more from me once the World Cup kicks off. So I think I'm going to sign off for today. Thank you for tuning in if you've done so, and thank you for watching after the fact if you've done so. And that's it for the Premier League until after Christmas. So enjoy the World Cup. I'm sure some of you will be missing the Premier League, but it's World Cup fever, baby. Catch it and cough on a friend. All right, that's it. It's Scott from Beatty's Beat signing off. Take it easy. Have a good one. Peace.